Hello there, and many thanks once again for joining us here on LN 24/7. It's your Friday night talk delight. We always have here sweet and robust conversation every Friday evening live here on LN 24/7. Wherever you're watching us around the world, we are back, and we are so glad to be back. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Emenike Agu is my name, bringing you every Friday night discussion on issues and matters around your country, my country, Nigeria. And it is what is happening on the front burner as we speak that affects you and I, and of course every Nigerian, including those in diaspora. And we always do this to find a better society to live in, to find a better way of moving governance forward in the country. Okay, so on this occasion, we have yet another interesting topic as we go back to good governance series. We can never exhaust that topic, good governance in Nigeria. So our topic for the day is good governance and dividends of democracy. Good governance and dividends of democracy. It comes in so many diverse areas that we will look into when you talk about dividends of democracy. Nigerians have been uninterrupted 25 years of democracy, and are Nigerians really reaping the sweet and beautiful promises made by politicians when they are aspiring to get into office? Okay, so those would be our talking points to look at on this occasion of politicians and unfulfilled campaign promises. I tell you, it is something very common now in Nigerian politics. Politicians make all the promises during campaign. Once they get into the office, the story becomes a different cup of tea. All right, we'll also be addressing the high cost of governance in Nigeria, especially in the prevailing economic hardship. The call for Nigeria to take a second look at the cost of running the country has never died down, as Nigeria is said to be one of the most expensive around the world, and the economy is also not helping matters right now. So Nigerians are screaming, shouting for government to address the high cost of governance in the country. Then our final talking point shall be the masses, of course, you and I, and the power to move a nation in the right direction. If you are in democracy, we are talking about the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's the masses. Here, Nigeria seems to have a lot of squeaky wheels in in progress. Wheels squeaking in the way of progress of the nation. So the masses are the power to move the nation in the right direction. We will be oiling it, or attempting to oil it on this occasion. Once again, welcome. Welcome to the program. I will be bringing in our experts around the world who will be helping us to make sense of this topic today. We are positioned quite interesting experts in this area of discussion. But before we bring them on, here is a background to today's conversation. We're talking about good governance. We'll tell you that good governance manifests in rule of law, transparency, accountability, and of course participation, among other things. And they are the recipe for national peace and development. Let us also tell you that, however, there is poverty of leadership. You and I know we also call it bad governance in most of Nigeria. 63 years of existence, is prevalent in autocratic and also oligarchy systems of government. It is evident, of course, you and I know that bad governance does exist so much in democracies. So we're giving you the background for the topic. How does the nature of governance offered by the nations and their leaders affect national peace and development? Perhaps we'll take a cue. Let's go to East African country of Kenya. After their stunning success, forcing the government to shelve $2.7 billion in tax hikes, young Kenyan activists are setting the eyes higher, taking aim at deeply ingrained corruption and misgovernance. In 2024-2025 bill, the Kenyan government wanted to raise $2.7 billion in additional taxes to reduce the budget deficit and borrow. The East African nation Kenya has been involved in civil action by her citizens. Protesters say the finance bill President William Ruto abandoned on Wednesday was only a symptom of the problems plaguing a country where many young people face dwindling job prospects despite strong economic growth. They will also have to decide how to respond to Ruto, who has offered dialogue as a way moving forward. He made this on Wednesday. President Ruto has also taken steps to address citizens' grievances and fight. He has ordered the government to shelve $2.7 billion expected in high taxes. So they have dropped that. And President William Ruto has also declared a state of emergency across the country, calling for decisive action to be taken to address people's grievances.
We need intervention of government into things that directly affects people. Not the minimum wage. Minimum wage has nothing to do with it. I'm telling you that now. If you really want to be sincere about minimum wage, then everybody must earn nothing less than ₦1,000,000 each every month. That is the only way you can cope in Nigeria of today. How many senators spend less than 10 million every month? How many members of the House of Rep spend less than 7-8 million every month? It's not possible. So they are talking minimum wage. Do they know anything about hunger? Let somebody ask a senator, have you ever experienced hunger? Do they know how to spell the word hunger? That is what majority of Nigerians are experiencing today. And it hurts my spirit when I see my fellow Nigerians begging for food in the midst of plenty. We lack. There's insincerity in the political class. And these are people who are professional politicians. If they take the political class, they have no life. And I've seen people at the National Assembly, since they left school, they've never done another job apart from being in politics. Right? They have houses in America, houses in UK, their children are out of the country, they drive the best cars. The question is, as a civil servant, how much do you earn?
So, I mean, it's really saddening, you know, to hear all of this, especially from experienced people like you who have been, you know, in government and who have seen how government runs in Nigeria. One other area of concern is the high cost of governance. I mean, it's established that everybody now see politics and governance as business, not service. And state of the nation, part of why we do this, is to find a better society for Nigeria. How can this change? How can Nigerians see that we are not going to Aso Rock to make money, but to serve Nigeria? How can politicians see this? And that's what we are looking at. Now, if you look at our topic, we said good governance, you know, dividends of democracy from Kenya to Nigeria. From Kenya to Nigeria. Why did we bring in Kenya, Dr. Adenike and Dr. Otujon? Kenya recently has been in turmoil. Citizens have taken to the street to protest high cost of living for sometimes in the midst of improving economy. Kenya economy is doing better now, but the citizens are saying no, government cannot take this decision. They wanted to raise tax and raise $2.7 billion out of tax. And the citizens went to the street to say, no, you can't do that. And how did the government respond? That's why we said from Kenya to Nigeria, because you said that we are having insincerity of government. Let's take a minute and listen to William Ruto, how he responded, you know, past Wednesday to what has been happening in Kenya. When we come back, we'll open the phone lines as we drive this discussion home and also talk about the high cost of governance in Nigeria. How do you deliver the dividends promised to Nigerians when things are like this? Take a listen to Kenya President of Kenya, William Ruto.
For immediate further austerity measures to reduce expenditure, starting with the office of the President, the entire presidency, and extending to the entire executive arm of government. Operational expenditure in the presidency be reduced to remove allocations for the confidential fort, reduce travel, hospitality, purchase of motor vehicles, renovations, and other expenditures. This will cover the entire presidency and also the executive arm of government. I also propose that equally, Parliament, the judiciary, and county governments, working with the National Treasury, also undertake budget cuts and austerity to ensure that we do live within our means, respecting the very loud message that is coming from the people of Kenya. I am directing for immediate further austerity measures.
Okay. I love listening to that over and over and over again, and simply because this is a president that is responding to the call of the people. I'm back to you, Dr. Otujon and Dr. Adenaike in London. This is a president whose country stood and rose in defiance to policies and decisions taken by government. We are not calling for demonstrations in Nigeria. In the past couple of months, there have been pockets of uprisings here and there, people taking to the streets to say, no, this hardship is too much, cost of living is too much in Nigeria, but it has never gone violent. They've only expressed, those concerns, and they have gone back, looking up to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take action right now. Now, why is this kind of action taken by President Ruto difficult in Nigeria? He says that he is directing immediate measures starting from the presidency through the arms of government. He has taken drastic measures to address their difficulties there. He says Kenya should live within their means. Why is this difficult in Nigeria? Dr. Otujon, is it difficult
Thank you very much.
in Nigeria?
It is not difficult, but there is something we need to know first. We must know the history of the two countries, the history of Kenya and that of, are we together? Oh, Jesus. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you hear me okay? So what I'm saying is we must know the difference between the history of Nigeria and Kenya. One, if you know how Kenya got independence or gained independence, you will know that it was out of struggle, serious struggle with the Western powers. They never relented. Many of them sacrificed their lives. Those of you in literature, whatever, would have read Ngugi wa Thiong'o's books, like A Grain of Wheat or Petals of Blood. You would have known the struggle claimed lives because they were determined to wrest power from their oppressors. And at the end of the day, they succeeded. After they succeeded, they never want the grass to grow under their feet, as it were. And that is why they keep checking their leaders, the political leaders, so that they don't become despots, as it were. You recall that a while ago, Ruto was on the receiving end. Ruto was a vice president in Kenya, mind you, and that government was not on the good books, in the good books of Kenyans. But at the end of the day, something happened. When Ruto became an underdog, and they imagined that he was receiving the short end of the stick of justice, they moved in and adopted Ruto. At the end of the day, Ruto came out as a president, emerged as a popular candidate of the people of Kenya, not of a group, not of a culture or a cabal in Kenya. It's important to know this. And then, look at Nigeria. From my experience of Nigeria from independence, we've been divided among ourselves. And I've said it a number of times that perhaps because Nigerians didn't shed blood, we didn't suffer so much to get independence by way of sacrifice. It makes Nigerians to take things for granted. They look up so much to the leaders they appoint or elect. And unfortunately for us, unfortunately for Nigeria, the Nigerian Biafran War came. And then since that time, as Achebe would say, the things that held Nigeria together have fallen apart. And now, look at all the dialogues we've had. None is said. So you begin to ask yourself, what is the sense of constitutional conferences we've had, political national conferences we've had, since they are not implemented? In all honesty, in recent history, it is only Yar'Adua that listened to Nigeria together. Can you hear me? It's only Yar'Adua, President Yar'Adua. It's only President Yar'Adua that has shown respect for Nigerians' opinion. When he even came into office, he was the first man to admit that the election that brought him into office was riddled with flaws, and Nigerians accepted him for that. He began to move, listening to Nigerians, granting amnesty, dredging Niger River and the rest of them. Unfortunately, death claimed him. Remember, he was the first president that declared his, that declared his accountability, so to speak, to Code of Conduct Bureau. He was the first person to declare his assets and liabilities without being prompted by the people of Nigeria or by the government, as it were. But after him, every other person has taken Nigerians for granted. Jonathan also looked like a lamb. He could listen, but he lacked the biceps to be able to do. So the point I'm making is Nigerian leaders perceive.
Please take it from
Nigerian leaders. Okay.
Dr. Adenike,
hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Please take it from there. Dr. Otu John has taken us way back to history and, of course, bringing us back to recent. How do you respond?
Right. If you're going to tell somebody this what kind of cloth they should be wearing, I think you should look at your own first. Now, the government is asking Nigerians to cut down and live within their means. But there is explosion within government. Now, you know, look at the current, our presidents. I won't just use the current president. When they leave the Aso Rock to go to the airport, do you know the number of vehicles that go with them? Now, I don't know why that is necessary. It's absolutely a waste. Now, in the UK, when the Prime Minister is going out, there is a vehicle in front, a vehicle in the middle, and another vehicle at the back. And that's it. You can cross-check this. Now, why do we need over 70 vehicles to get our president to the airport? Sometimes more than that. Now, and you're asking for Nigerians to shrink what they do. Now, simply, you know, a lot of things had to begin from government. Now, there is need to reduce the number of your special assistants and special advisors. All these special advisors, they advise and you never listen. There is no special advisor in Nigeria that is not a yes sir person. They don't look at the president in the face, eyeball to eyeball, and tell him what he doesn't want to hear. Everything is about what he wants to hear. The same thing with governors. Yes. So why are you calling them special advisors? Who are they advising? So you don't need all those numbers. A lot of agencies have to be collapsed together to come together. We don't need ICPC and EFCC separate. Why can't we just have one body? A lot of things has to come from government. And only when that is done, then we know that yes, we will know that they are sincere about the plight of Nigerians. Doc has already said it very clearly. I tell you what, Nigerian political class are insincere. They are very insincere. They say something to you, they do something else. I was watching a video of an ex-governor talking about he will have no control over whoever succeeds him. The person is there to serve the people. As soon as the person got there, he wants to be dictating the tune of events in that state, whereas he's already a minister under the federal government. Who does that? Now they speak with different parts of their mouth. They are not sincere. My own is this, right? The present president has the capacity to listen to Nigerians, to change the direction of Nigeria. If he chooses to, he has that capacity. He's somebody I know very well. He has the capacity. But the point is, has he got the bicep? Has he got the bicep? Has he got the bicep to do it with the people around him, with the people milling around him? That is the issue.
Okay, hold your thoughts, Dr. Adenike. Earlier on, we welcomed a member of the ruling party, a stakeholder in the party, Honorable Lateef Lawumi. I'm told he is back now and the network is looking better. Honorable, thanks for joining us. We're sorry about the network.
Good evening. It's been rainy here, so the network is a little...
That's Nigeria we are in. Okay, but it's better now. And I'm sure you've been listening to all the conversation we've been having. What do you say to all of this? You are a member of the ruling party, a stakeholder for that matter.
First, any person that has conscience who like to align with what the other contributors have been talking about, and I think what they've all been talking about isn't something that just started overnight. It's been a long time that Nigerians started having problems. It's saddening. If we're talking about a giant of Africa for that matter, and all we can compare, with all respect to Kenya, all we can compare Nigeria with is Kenya. And it looks like we aren't serious people, given the fact that we have a lot of things in abundance, the resources, the human capital, and all that we have, and yet we have the kind of problems we have. And part of talking about democracy, all it stipulates, like what President Williams Ruto just did in Kenya, responding swiftly to the yearnings of Kenyans. I want to go along with Dr. Adenike in a way, and like he stated, that the Nigerian president can also be as much responsive to the yearnings, and he has other capacity to do that. And in due course, I believe you take the necessary steps. It's unfortunate that we have come all this way. Our democracy, though we've all talked about it being nascent and all this and all that, but in the real sense of it, I think we are a lot backward in terms of the practice. And I think the best thing to do is to, buckle up and do the needful. You don't expect a country that... Can you hear me?
Yes, exactly. I was going to take a cue from what you just said now and go to Dr. Adenike as we wrap up on this segment. We may not be able to finish this discussion in one sitting. It's looking like we may have a part 2 of it next week, Friday, because this is what affects Nigeria and Nigerians, wherever you may be, home or abroad. Dr. Adenike, we mentioned the squeaky wheel of progress. It's a metaphor, but you and I understand what it means, and you've spoken, you and Dr. Otujon, you've all spoken about these squeaky wheels of progress. How do we oil it in Nigeria so as to move forward?
Okay. Can you hear me? Because my screen is frozen, so ahead. I don't think you can hear me. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Now, how do we oil it? You see, first of all, we need to self-examine. Our leaders, quote and unquote, are listening to us. They are hearing what we're saying. They need to listen to what we're saying. They need to process the things that Nigerians are saying. So that there must be self-conviction. It's a personal thing. It's like when you're worshiping God and you say you belong to a particular parish or a particular church. It's irrelevant. Your church is you and God first and foremost. Your religiosity starts from you. It is you and God. It is not what you go to display in front of people in a congregation. Therefore, as a leader, you need to have a self-assessment, a clinical assessment of yourself and your intention. Where no one is listening to you, where no one is watching you, you face your God and say to yourself, I'm going to be a changed person. There must be that renewal within you. That's the first thing. Now, in the absence of that, what is available, Nigeria cannot handle right now. And we are not advocating for that. Because the other option to that would not see Nigeria survive as a nation. And that is a fact. And that is something we don't want in Nigeria. Like my brother Olaomi said, we are comparing Nigeria and Kenya. Is that not an aberration in the first instance? When we should be talking Nigeria and America, Nigeria and the UK. Because Nigeria is a giant that refuses to grow up. We have everything it takes to become the greatest, one of the greatest nations in the world. Did you know what happened in India? What Indira Gandhi did after the war with Pakistan? She said, we shall not import food anymore. They were importing over 900 million tons of food from America. And she said, no one will serve in this country. By 2016, that country had become one of the second largest world producer of food in the world. Come on. Come on. That is somebody who decided that something must happen. And I'm sure Nigerian leaders can make such decisions. They've gotten over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adenike. Our time is so fast spent. I will just take another 1 minute and take a final comment from Dr. Otujo on oiling this squeaky wheel.
Say that what you have said is an understatement. It is not a squeaky wheel. So you don't even need oiling. It needs an overhaul. Let's be honest. You know, I don't like speaking through both sides of the mouth at the same time, as it were. You know that the degradation, the degeneracy is almost total. The last election was everything but transparent and honest. And so until we get the things well, so it's not just oiling. Oiling is like peppering over an open sore. That is what that word oiling means, you know. But the people lack good intentions in the first place. And you can see the way they go about the leadership of this country. There is ethnic bigotry, there is religious bigotry. The punishment is still there. That's what anybody tells you. Well, I don't want to patronize any of them by saying that they have the capacity. You know they don't have the capacity based on their track record. Perhaps in the 1990s they had the track record. They had the capacity. But I think it's Wole Soyinka who said recently, when he gave the talk it was late last year, early this year, he said that everybody believes in restructuring until he gets into Aso Rock. He begins to say something else. Soyinka said so. That is what they're doing. So when they tell you that the existence of Nigeria is non-negotiable, it is wrong. And that is where our problem comes from. Because different parts of this country, some of them believe that they are endowed to rule and to reign. And that is why very early in the year they started campaigning for 2027. Ignorant or despising Nigerians. That is a shame. What Nigeria needs now is total overhaul. Overhaul, not peppering over an open sore.
Thank you so much. Dr. John, thank you so much. Our time is so fast spent. Honorable Olawale, we will come back next week. Lateef Olawumi will come back next week. We'll take a second part of this discussion. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you. Emenike Agwu is my name. Let's keep talking. See you again. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ellen 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
Nigeria is set to take its place